Well, hey there guys. Today I got an American lock here. This came from Bill. So Bill, thanks for sending this lock out. On the lock body it says American Lock Corporation, USA. On the other side of the lock it says Set US. This lock does have security pins in it. I'll go ahead and give you guys a look at the key bitting here. So there's a look at the key bitting. Hopefully one of these days I'll get a new camera that's in HD, but still working on that. It's going to take me a little bit. There's a look at the key bitting. On the bow of the key it says American Lock Company, USA. On the other side of the bow of the key there is a code. The code is 5286 Hotel. But there's a look at the key bitting. The lock does work. There it is unlocked. Go ahead and lock them back up. Like I said, this lock just got security pins in it, and it's got actually serrated pins for the key pins, maybe one spool pin. I want to try to go ahead and give a more in-depth detail of what's going on when I'm picking this lock. Maybe it will help somebody out that's new to lockpicking. First off, the keyway is such that for me, I can't use bottom of the keyway tension. It doesn't give me really enough room inside the keyway to maneuver my pick around. So I want to use top of the keyway tensioning. And the pick I'm using is going to be from Southward Pagoda pick set. I'm using that long hook, if you will. The reason why I'm using this hook instead of my other standard hook, if you will, is because of the tensioning that I'm using. When you go bottom of the keyway tensioning, normally your pick will rest on your tensioning tool, and using top of the keyway tensioning, it's put your pick down farther in the keyway, so you have to lift the pins. You have to reach up there to really get access to the pins. That's for me. That's the technique I normally use when I'm using top of the keyway tensioning. I like a long pick. So I got my tensioning tool in here. I'm going to apply light tension. And when I first started picking this lock, basically I went to the back of the keyway and started filling the pins, looking for a binding pin. And the first thing that I noticed as I pulled my pick out, this is going to be tough for me to pick this and describe what I'm doing at the same time, but as I pulled my pick out, I come to the first two pins, and I'll go ahead and try to set one now. Basically, I find my first binding pin and I push up on it and I get a little bit of a click. And so then what I do is I go back through the keyway and touch all the other pins looking for another binding pin, and I notice they're all springy. So right off the bat, that tells me there's something not quite right about this lock, or there's something different about this lock, I should say. And so I go back to my first two pins and I push up on one of them again, and I get another click. And then I go and investigate the rest of the pins all the way down through the keyway, and nothing is binding. So from this point on, I kind of figured that this lock is full of pins that are serrated. So what I do is fill the rest of the pins. They're all still springy. I go back to that one pin, or I try to go back to that one pin that I just set, and I push up on them again. I get another little click. And this is a real light touch. I am barely touching this pin, and I get another click. So I'm just basically moving them up through the serrations, and then I go back and check all my other pins to see if I have another binding pin yet. And if I don't have one, I'll go back to that pin again and push them up, and I'll get another click. And then I go back through the lock looking for another binding pin, and this time I'm getting a reaction out of some of the other pins. So that tells me that that one pin I believe, has finally hit the shear line, and hopefully I can leave him alone. And so then I'll go to my next pin that's binding, and I'll start to push him up. I get a little click out of him. So then I move on to the rest of the pins now. And I got a little reaction here out of this one pin. I'm going to try to push him up. Get a little click. Nothing. Get another. I'm going to push him up again. It felt like he's set. It almost felt like the lock opened. And at this point, I think I'm in a false set now with some of the driver pins, because they are spooled in this lock. So from this point, I'm just going to start testing the rest of my pins, looking for some counter rotation. And I just touched one and it fell into a deeper false set. So like I said, I'm going to go through here and see if I can't get any counter rotation out of any of these pins. And I just touched the back pin, heard a little click, and fell into a deeper false set. Almost got this lock open. So at this point, I know my first two pins are probably set. The third one's probably set. I think this lock's got 5 pins in it. So those are probably all set, and I'm just looking for some counter rotation, as you normally would with a spool pin. So I'm just going to gently push up on my pins, looking for a little bit of counter rotation. Starting to get a little reaction there. I'm not sure why. Keep checking all the pins here. This lock's hard for me to grip. Can change my grip a little bit. Okay, so go in here now. Gonna test all the pins. Like I said, I'm looking for one that gives me some counter rotation or some feedback. Okay. Got a little bit of counter rotation there. I think I got them set. And I just went to the next pin, which is further down, and barely touched them. I mean, just barely touched them. And the lock's fallen open now. And there it is. Picked open. And that's going to be the American little tiny padlock. I'm not sure if they even still make this lock. But there it is, picked open. I hope I'm explaining this. It's kind of hard it's kind of hard to explain this and not have a drawing or anything like that. So one of these days I'm going to have to sit down and do a better video of trying to explain what's going on. But basically, close them back up there. Basically, you have your key pin, which is your bottom pin, and your driver pin, which is your top pin. And for this lock here, it's kind of hard without taking it all apart and looking inside. But my bottom pins, which are my key pins, are serrated. And what that means is it's got little serrations cut into the pin. So as you go in with your pick, and you apply tension with your tension wrench, and you start pushing that pin up towards the shear line, it will catch on that first serration. And then what happens after that, normally for me, is it tells me that that pin is set, or I think that pin is set at the shear line, but actually it's catching on the first serration. And so what I would normally do is go back, go deeper into the lock, and start looking for another binding pin. And when I don't find that other binding pin, that normally tells me I'm dealing with a lock that's got serrated pins in it. Because it's caught on that serration, none of the other pins are going to bind. And so if you go back to that first binding pin, whichever one it is, and you push up on it again with the tip of your pick, it will generally go up a little bit more and give another little click. And from that point on, you investigate the rest of your pins in the lock, and if they're all still springy, you still haven't reached the shear line with that one pin, because it's still caught on the next serration. So you push them up again, and then you'll hear another click, and it will feel slightly different. And you go and investigate your pins again, and lo and behold, you'll find one that doesn't feel quite springy. It feels like it's binding. So you push up on him, and what that means is you got that one pin set. So you can go to your other pin, and you push up on them, and you'll hear another little click. And you go and look for the you go in and investigate the remaining pins, and if they all still feel springy, that means that one pin again is caught on a serration. So you push them up again and get another click, and you go and investigate the rest of your pins. If they're still springy, you're still caught on a serration, so you just keep pushing that pin up until you get them to the shear line. And once you get them to the shear line, when you go check your other pins, you'll find another binding pin. And that pretty much sets the stage for picking locks that have serrated pins in them. You just keep pushing them up and up and up until you find other binding pins. But as always, I lost my tension tool, but as always, guys, thanks for watching, and I hope this helped somebody out. I may do another video in the future with maybe like a piece of paper and some drawings. Maybe I can explain it better, and that will make it a little more clear what's going on. I may do that later on today, but as always, thank you for watching, and hopefully I'm going to get an HD camera soon, and hopefully that will change the quality of the videos. But as always, thanks for watching. You guys have a good one.